All right, so number one and two, we have to factor to solve it. So Chris, Carney, what's the first thing we want to do when we factor? Yeah, there's a GCF, right? So we pull the X out of there. Oh, I gotta write the problem, don't I? And then we have X squared minus 25. Lily Baker, what do we call that? Olivia, we're working now. Oh, how do we factor it? Yeah. So how do you factor it? There you go. Thanks. Right, so difference of squares after you pull the X out. Then we take the square root of X squared, which is X squared 25, 5. One's plus, one's minus. So showing all the work, a lot of you can tell me the answers when it's like this, which is fine. But make sure you write down the answers, okay? Every year I get a few kids that factored all right and they go to the next problem without telling me the answers, okay? So what you do is you set your factors equal to 0 if you show all your work for these answers. But like I said, if you know by looking, that's fine. But make sure you write X equals negative 5 somewhere. X equals 5 and X equals 0. Okay? So again, just factor. Always look for a GCF first. Then you look for a difference of squares. Then you look for sum or difference of cubes. And then you look for those special trinomials and regular trinomials or a grouping. So it's going to be something like that tomorrow. Fred, what did you do first for this one?
I took 2x out.
2x?
Or x squared.
Yeah, x squared, right. X squared is the GCF, so we need to pull that out first. So we have x squared times x squared minus 3x minus 40. That's a regular trinomial. What's that factor to, Olivia Carr?
X squared and then x minus 8 and x plus 5.
Thank you. Negative 8 times positive 5 is negative 40, and negative 8 plus 5 is negative 3. All right, so again, we set our factors equal to 0, because if I'm multiplying three things together, oops, that's a 5. I guess I could make that a 5. When I'm multiplying three numbers together, one of those numbers has to be 0. So we just figure out when each one equals 0. So we have our three possibilities. So I can take the square root of both sides here. And when we do that step, we're supposed to put the plus or minus symbol in front. When it's 0, it really doesn't make a difference. But if it's anything else, you should put your plus or minus symbol there. And then add 8. So one answer is positive 8 for our second answer. And subtract 5. So a third answer is negative 5.
I did the quadratic formula.
That's okay. Did you get 8 and negative 5?
Oh no.
You should.
I got 3 plus or minus 13 over 2.
So you get 3 because of the negative b, right? Plus or minus, then b squared would be 9. And then negative 4 times 1 is negative 4 times negative 4 to be a positive 160. So that's 169. That's a perfect square. That should just be a 13, not a square root of 13. Is that what you put?
No, I got 3 plus or minus 13 over 2.
Oh, that's right. So what is 3 plus 13?
Oh.
What's 3 plus 13?
16.
Divided by 2.
Oh yeah, that does work.
You get 8, right? So you were okay. And then 3 minus 13 would be negative 10, divided by 2 gives you the negative 5. Yeah, so it's okay to use quadratic formula if you want. But you're not really supposed to, because you're supposed to factor it all the way, right? So on that one, I would say you should factor 1 and 2. And they should factor out for you, like they did on the practice. Number 3 was a fraction equal to another fraction, and we call that a proportion. How do we solve proportions? Ryan Colai? How do I solve proportions?
Cross multiply.
Yeah, we're going to cross multiply. So we're going to go 3 times 2x minus 7 equals 5 times x plus 2. The cross products are equal for a proportion. So distribute the 3 and the 5, you get 6x minus 21 equals 5x plus 10. I'm going to take the 5x over to the left side of the equation, and I'm also going to take the 21 from the left side over to the right side. Just doing 2 things at once. The 21s will eliminate each other, and the 5x's. And 6x minus 5x is x, and 10 plus 21 is 31. Now, on the fraction ones, you're supposed to check to make sure what doesn't happen. Danny? What are we not allowed to have happen with fractions and our answer? Oh, then you should, stay focused. Riley?
Denominator.
Right. Denominator can't be 0. So if I put 31 here plus 2 or 2 times 31 minus 7, will I get 0? No. So that's a good answer. Okay? Number 4. Is another fraction one, but this is not a proportion. So when I have fractions and no proportion, how do I get rid of the fractions? Because that's what we want to do. We want to eliminate the fractions right away. Make it easier. Jonah.
Can't you get it out of the fractions so you get 3x equals 3 and x equals 3x equals 4?
Yeah. So what do we do to get that, to get what you said? Yeah, we're multiplying everything by that common denominator, right? So this whole equation, both sides of it, is multiplied by the common denominator. Okay? Now, here's what's happening. X plus 4, if you write it as a fraction, you just put it over 1, times 3x over x plus 4. We've done these already. What happens to those x plus 4s? They cancel. So the answer is just what? 3x. So that's why we're doing this. So those x plus 4s cancel. Then I got to go 2 times the x plus 4. So nothing canceled there. And then again, the x plus 4s cancel when I multiply x plus 4 times this fraction. So all I have is a negative 12. So that's a lot easier looking at equation now, right? So distribute your 2. And then let's solve for x. So I'm going to subtract 2x, which gives me x on the left and negative 4 on the right, and that's my answer, right? Right, Evan? Why are you shaking your head?
Doesn't make it 0.
Makes what 0?
The denominator.
Yeah, when I plug negative 4 in to the original problem, I get a 0 now. So is negative 4 acceptable answer? No. So don't forget to check. That's a no solution problem. Okay, so on the fractions, check to make sure You don't get a 0 in the denominator. On these next two, check to make sure you get the right answer. It works in the original problem, what these square root ones were going to be. Questions on 3 or 4? Okay. Number 5. We have the square root of x minus 4 minus 6 equals 0. All right, so the first thing we want to do is get that 6 to the other side. So the x minus 4, that square root, is by itself. Okay, how do I get rid of that square root symbol, Izzy? Yeah, you square both sides, right? Again, the rule is what you do to one side, you got to do the other. That's why we got to do both sides. The square root and the square cancel, just x minus 4, and then add 4 to finish it up, and we get 40. Is 40 a good answer? Does it work in the original problem? Yeah, 40 minus 4 is 36. The square root of 6 minus 6 is 0, so it's good. Okay, but still check, just to make sure. Number 6, we got x equals 3 plus the square root of 3 minus x. So just like we did on the last one, we have to take the 3 to the other side so that the square root part is by itself. So I have x minus 3 on the left and the square root of 3 minus x on the right. So I'm going to square both sides. Now, remember, x minus 3 squared means x minus 3 times x minus 3. So you got to FOIL it, okay? Or you can do that shortcut I showed you. I'll show you the shortcut again. When you square a binomial, you can take the first term and square it. So x times x. For the middle term, because there is going to be a middle term, when you FOIL those two, all right, you multiply the two numbers together, or the two terms. X times negative 3 is negative 3x. But you have to double that answer. It's times 2. So that's negative 6x. If we go over here and FOIL, outside is the negative 3x, and inside is also a negative 3x. There's two of them. That's why we doubled it.
I was just confusing them.
And then square the negative 3, and we get 9. All right? So if you want to do the shortcut, great. If you want to do first outside, inside, last, you'll get the same thing. First is these two, sorry. And last is these two. So these two still give you that negative 6x. All right? Now, it's got an x squared in it, so it has become a quadratic equation. So we have to solve the quadratic equation by setting it equal to 0 to get started. Negative 6 plus 1 is, not positive, but negative 5x. And 9 minus 3 is a positive 6. Again, at this point, you can factor if possible, or you can use the quadratic formula. This does factor. What's it factor to? No. That works if that's a negative 6. But since it's positive 6, what is it? Yeah, negative 2 and negative 3. Because when I multiply negative 2 times negative 3, I do still get a positive 6. When I add those, I get negative 5. So what's this answer going to be? 2 and 3. Okay? We all okay? What am I supposed to do now, though? Plug it back in. Make sure they work. So I made it too big, so I have to go back here. So I got to remember 2 and 3 I'm checking. Okay? So I'm going to put 2 in for x. And 3 plus the square root of 3 minus 2. What's 3 minus 2? What's the square root of 1? 1. What's 1 plus 3? 4, not 2. So 2 is not a good answer. It doesn't actually work. We did everything right. But when we plug it into the original, it didn't work. Putting 3 in, so 3 in for x, 3 plus the square root of 3, and plug 3 in again. What's 3 minus 3? Square root of 0 plus 3, is that 3? Yeah, so 3 is a good answer. Sometimes that happens when you do this. One of them doesn't work. All right? All right, last two. We have a rational exponent, a fraction for an exponent. All right, so just treat this like there was no exponent on the x to get started. Get x alone. So add the 31 first. And divide by the 2. So that's just an x. All right, now, before I finish, we have to look at the exponent. Is it an even or an odd exponent? It's odd. So do I have to worry about anything? No. What if it was an even exponent? Plus or minus in your answer. Okay? And you just look at the numerator for odd or even. So 3 is the numerator, it's odd, so I don't have to worry about plus or minus. If that was flipped in the beginning, if it was to the 2/3 power, then my answer would have a plus or minus in front. Okay? So now, what do we do to finish it up? Once we're here. Right. Remember to put your caret and put your 2/3 in parentheses. Okay? Use that reciprocal. Because when I raise a power, an exponent to another exponent, what's the rule when you have this situation? But you're multiplying them, right? So you're multiplying 3/2 times 2/3, which cancels or gives you 1. Or you can just cancel them, right? All right, so that's the goal, right? To get x to the first, even though we never write the first power. All right, so 27 caret, don't forget. And then parentheses, 2 divided by 3. If you don't put the fraction in parentheses, it'll go 27 squared. Get that answer, then divide by 3. Okay? Here's what 27 to the 2/3 means. The denominator tells you it's a cube root. The numerator tells you the exponent of the number. That's what that means if we wrote it out in radical form. So if you had to do this by hand without your calculator, you would do this. When you're doing cube roots, what are you looking for? Groups of 3, right? Well, I have a group of 3 here, so what's the cube root of 27? 3, right? Same problem, right? What's 3 times 3? And that's what your calculator did for us. I just wanted to show you that so you know what it means. You could just use your calculator, that's fine. Okay? The last one's really easy. It's already got the x by itself. So we're gonna do what? So 4/3, right? And make sure it's in parentheses. What's that come out to, 625? All right? So, if you want to get some bonus points tomorrow, how do you start this? Supposed to subtract this 1 over, right? Get one of them alone. All right, so that leaves me 6 minus x, and then 6 minus the square root of 5x plus 6. Now I square both sides. All right, so that's 6 minus x. This, I'm doing the shortcut again. Square the 6. Multiply these two together, which is negative 6 times that. What's negative 6 doubled? Thanks.
12.
Thanks, you're there. What's the square of the square root of 5x plus 6?
5x.
Just 5x plus 6, right? So that's what it looks like after you square both sides. After you took that 1 over. All right, so let's get these to this other side. Because I got to get that radical on the right alone. All right, so all these cancel. So I have negative x and negative 5x is a negative 6x. These 6's cancel, so I get minus 36. So this is what I have. Now I square again. So it's just doing the process twice. When I do this, again, it's negative 6x minus 36 times a negative 6x minus 36. So when I FOIL or do my shortcut, I square that, which is positive 36x squared. I multiply those together, negative 6 times negative 36 times 2, right? Double it. So that's positive 432x. And then I got to square 36. Negative 36 times a negative 36. 1296. When I square this, I square the negative 12, and that's this 5x plus 6. So now that's what it looks like. All right? I don't know. Maybe.
Work.
So 144 times, oops, not plus 5, but times 5 is 720 when I distribute. And I think that's another 144 onto that. 5 of them's that, another one is what, 864?
Yeah,
All right. So here's what it looks like.
oh, we've got big numbers.
Big numbers, big
Expressions.
big work.
So much work.
How many bonus points will this be?
5.
Oh, okay.
Be like a
Then I feel like that's.
whole a whole extra problem. So you get a 45 out of 40 tomorrow. Get a good start on the new 9 weeks, right?
Yeah.
All right, what's 432 minus 720? I think it's 288.
Yeah.
Is it? Someone's with me already? Keeping up? Thanks. Nope, I lied.
You did 432
Oh.
minus 280.
I was thinking,
This problem is like kind of dying.
why are you such a sissy? Wendy.
Can
Thought you were tough. I guess lacrosse,
Can we
chicks
get-
with sticks or sissies,
Can we get
huh?
a head count?
Whoa.
We're gonna do problems.
Maybe it won't be such big numbers tomorrow.
Yeah, let's try like some like
1, 2,
zeros.
3.
All right,
One, maybe.
guess what?
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 Those have a GCF.
How?
Yeah.
36?
Why'd I do times?
That's a great question.
What am I supposed to do? Divide.
Of course.
There we go.
Wow.
So that's a 12, right? So we're doing negative 288 divided by 36, right?
Oh, no, no.
Ooh, nice.
If the answer was a decimal, what is that? That's the answer.
What are the factors of 12 that add up to negative 8?
If we can't even do this, you think we can do that?
You can do this.
Six,
Yeah.
6 and 2, right?
Yeah.
All right, so which one works?
6 and 2. You gotta make sure it goes
So
to
you
X.
gotta scroll up at least a mile.
All right, let's go a mile.
There's no way I got it right.
What's 6 minus 6?
Zero. Okay.
0. What's the square root?
0.
All right, what's 5 times 6?
30.
Plus 6.
36.
What's the square root of 36?
6.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Yep. 0 plus 6, 6?
It does
Ian
work.
All right.
straight up did it a completely different way. That's it.
No way.
That's
All
what I'm
right,
saying.
what about, what's the other one? 2?
Yeah.
All right,
Is it 2?
what's 6 minus 2?
4.
Square root.
2.
2.
What's 5 times 2?
10.
Plus 6.
16.
Square root.
4.
2 plus 4 is 6?
It does work.
I get half.
They both work.
Yeah,
I get half.
I'm cool with that. I'm cool with
Here in
that.
the
So it works.
CP world.
So here's what Soren did. Let's see if that works. And it might have been you guys too.
Yeah, we probably did it.
Soren, I killed extended. Soren just did this right away.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah, that's.
So what do we got? 6 minus x, 5x plus 6, and 36?
I don't think we did that.
All right, so square, what is it? 6 minus x,
I don't know.
and then 5x plus 6, and then 36, right? So what's, I'm subtracting 12, right? And 4x. So it only gives us one of the answers. It doesn't give us the other one.
Yeah.
I guess you would, yeah.
Okay, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that.
I'm okay with I'll take 2.5.
Doing like an 18 doesn't work for half credit. I'm cool with that.
I'll take 2.5 extra. If you do it that way, you deserve like all more.
Yeah.
Can I go early? I have to work and I have to go home and watch. I counted man today.
Did you really?
Yes. Above my chin.
It's better
It was,
than
it was more like above my mouth. All right. Yeah.
Good. See you later. Well, I should stop my